Hello viewers, this is Seeking Media Productions. My name is Adam.
You know, I'm Aaron.
And a lot of change has been happening.
It has been a minute.
Very long minute. At least, long minute to see our faces anyway.
Especially mine.
Yeah, where were you?
I'm sorry. It appears I got lost on the path of life.
That's not an excuse.
If Kashi can say it, I can, so screw you.
Okay. And, well, what good time to celebrate our back to our faces on the screen was with the first major blockbuster of the year.
That would be Birds of Prey, or the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
It's just a Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
That's what it is.
And it should have been titled The Harley Quinn Movie.
Yeah, a lot of marketing screw-ups. I can understand
marketing as far as the name.
Right there.
Yeah, and let's be honest. The Birds of Prey as a title, and well, specifically the group itself, is not that well known. At least not outside of die-hard DC fans.
Yeah.
And if he was going to center the movie around that, A, would have the whole damn, or at least most of the crew. And then B, it would have been their storyline pushed center forward, with each character getting a highlight on who they are and what they mean.
And what you get out of this is, at least to us, a good, enjoyable ride.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this film.
Yeah. It has its faults.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few to point out, but specifically, if I just had to think about it, or at least put any real measure on it, I would have to say that I think this was a good movie.
Yeah. What we have here is a movie that's centered around the whole perspective through the lens of how does Harley Quinn think, and it's told through her perspective. In a very fragmented, like Quentin Tarantino, Deadpool, like winking at the audience type of way.
But at the end of the day, this is his own thing, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed because I feel as though this is the first time that Margot Robbie, at least to me, fully embraced that character and actually really dug deep into expressing who that character is beyond. Just what Margot Robbie was trying to do in Suicide Squad. And it definitely feels as though this was a sequel to that film. I
feel like it's more of like a successor.
Yeah, you're right. That's probably the best word.
A successor to what David Ayer was aiming to do, especially with the storytelling. Like, he tried to do this in the first 20 minutes, of which he was just trying to introduce all those characters all at once.
Which was oh my god, there was no way he's going to be able to do that. At least not the way he was trying to do it.
No, at least his prep into what his version of Harley was. And then Margot Robbie, who's the main producer of this film, took what was done in that Harley and exploded into what we see here.
But of course, this film centers around the breakup between Harley Quinn and Mr. J, or we all infamously known as the Joker.
Yes, not to be confused with the Oscar-nominated movie.
No.
This movie's far from.
But let's not downplay it. It was still is in its own right a decent film in itself. But it's still, because they do harping on like aspects of what happened to Harley Quinn in the previous Suicide Squad movie. You do kind of miss that centered focus of Mr. J. It's just he's such an integral part to Harley Quinn's story and who she becomes.
But because of the negative reaction of what happened with Jared Leto and David Ayer came up with that character, it's understandable of why Mr. J is basically absent in this film, but it is going to be probably bothersome for even more for other audiences that they're talking about Joker so much in this film that why is he not even present? Aside
from him, this movie also showcased the titular Birds of Prey, or at least maybe like, was it one or two members?
One of them is essentially an in-name only character.
Yeah.
And that is the Cassandra CAIN, the little girl who's basically the
MacGuffin, I would say.
yes, the MacGuffin.
Yeah, she's not, unfortunately. I mean, don't get me wrong. The actress who playing to Cassandra CAIN in name only did a great job. I actually really enjoyed her. But slapping on the Cassandra CAIN name on this character was not needed.
And for the other two characters, you have Journey Smollett as Black Canary or Dinah Lance. and Mary Elizabeth-Winston, who plays Helena Bartolini, also known as the Huntress.
They do have moments, but they are sorely needed more scenes to express who they are as characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you just didn't get that. But what you are left with are scenes and aspects of the story which leaves you wanting more of them. And those two actresses who played those characters did a great job playing them in this film. I really liked them. I had my doubts going in originally on whether or not they was going to be able to do it, especially since of course one of them was race change, which really doesn't matter usually at the end of the day, but certain times they do that so often.
Yes, they do. Just to make a change or for diversity's sake, which is never a good sign.
Never. I definitely would love to see a spin-off from this film, or at least a film that centers around those characters, at least emphasize them a little bit more, because they did a great job. I wanted to see more of them. You just didn't get it because at the end of the day, this was Harley Quinn's movie.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't help when this film is like under 2 hours long. Mm-hmm. So there's probably another reason why there should be a lot more.
But of course, there was other characters. Ewan McGregor played the titular Black Mass villain.
Not titular.
Well, yeah, you're right.
He's not titular. He's the title.
You're right.
He played the main villain, Black Mass, a Batman villain, more known to comic readers,
but not necessarily massively known. But I feel as though what Ewan McGregor brought towards this role, I thoroughly enjoyed, and I felt was still very to the numbers of that character. At the end of the day, so long as you have a very paranoid mob boss who thinks everybody's out to get him and has a superiority complex, you're in the ballpark, and that's what Ewan McGregor brought to this role. It's just he just did it a little bit more flamboyantly, but that was okay. I actually liked it.
Yeah, and we also get the henchman, Zaz, who, not his first rodeo in the film, appearing in the big screen. No. One of my faults is that the fresh story does get in the way with telling the other characters' perspective of things.
Mostly because it's done on the perspective of one character in particular, Harley Quinn. And when she's, steamrolling what the movie's going to be and how she wants to talk about it, the other ones kind of get shortchanged.
But the stylistic choices did not get, at least it didn't sacrifice when it came to production. This is I kind of like the fact that they did bring in a John Wick, one of the John Wick directors.
That was probably one of the best decisions they did, because boy, even though this movie could have used a lot more, could have used even more action and more substance in it, what they did have going forward afterwards.
Yeah, this is the first time when we talk about this, the first time that Margot Robbie is able to utilize Harley Quinn to her best of her ability. We see Harley Quinn fight like we always wanted to see in a live action format. And an extension of the John Wick aesthetic is also done with the cinematography. And that neo-noir,
neon light,
that works well with a modern Gotham.
It does.
Something that we also see another side of Gotham that we never got to see.
The more mundane aspect, the average people, going for. Although I could have used a little bit more Gothic aspect to it, at least a little bit more touch on the city itself, the nitty-gritty aspects you got in the Nolan films, but at least there was some presence.
Yes. I would like to take the moment to address the little director of the film, which is Cathy Yan. This is her first major big blockbuster movie, and I'm still having trouble how much of her vision came through in this film. But I would like to know if anything, that if the creativity of the action scenes, from the environments and to how it was shot and looked, was mainly from her, because if that's the case, then that I feel as though that's a good credit that I like to throw out there. Yeah, and I think one other thing to point out that you can really tell that this is directed by a female is through the costumes.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a really if I had to start pointing out nitpicks or anything about the movie. Loved Harley, loved all of her costumes, so she really was showcasing a little bit more so than I thought was. But when it came to the rest of the gang, the rest of the Birds of Prey, that left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, you can any comic book fan knows that just from the look of the film, the little Birds of Prey, they don't look like their comic book counterparts at all.
Mm-mm.
And in fact, it really shows Margot Robbie's producer side of things when she's the little one who's only standing out.
Yeah, there was a big problem. I think I only liked maybe one of Black Canary's outfits, and that was like her first debut in the movie where she was singing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice. I liked how that showcased on her. But after that, I mean, it's like nothing else was pretty flattering to them. And then also, I mean, I kind of liked Huntress. She was okay, but it was bland.
Yes, like if anything, the costumes is a good representation of what somebody might actually feel about the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like Harley's a standout, while everybody else falls to the background.
Yep, and I feel as though that was like that you could really throw against her directing or on that character. It's like it's too much on Harley.
Yes, you can hit him with the soundtrack though.
Yeah, I found there was like a few songs that was kind of it's a bop, but the other ones it's like yeah, I could have passed.
Yeah. So as far for me overall quality, I would say that it's good, but it's more like it's if you watch most Marvel movies, it falls into that ballpark.
Yeah, this is basically one of like it's not like the bad Marvel movies, but it's also not like the best Marvel movies. Like it's like one of their like it's a decent one.
I can understand if you were to think that this is just an okay film as well. Like I would not criticize you on that, but for a movie that shows a lot of heart for the titular for the main character, which is Harley Quinn, I feel as though this is a solid, real introduction to why people like that character so much.
So. There's been a lot of going back and forward and hypocrisy stirred up when it comes to the subject of DC films versus Marvel films or Disney-fied. This whole need that there has to be some type of side whether you fall on, and I just don't believe that's something that needs to be done. Both these franchises can exist, and people can like both of them. Yes. But I feel as though when it comes to the subject of whether or not people would go out to go watch a DC film rather than a Marvel film, it comes down to it's because let's be honest, there has been some stinkers on DC's side, but it doesn't justify people just giving up on them altogether.
Yeah, like the first couple of Marvel movies were all hit and miss until
they found their groove.
Yes, and that took a while.
It did. And then this whole aspect of comparing them against one another like that. It's like people will basically fault DC for things that Marvel's done, but God forbid DC tries to make it better. And all of a sudden, they're getting critiqued harshly for it. That's not fair.
And there we have it. That's our review for Birds of Prey, or
the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
Take that as you will. My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And this has been a Sticky Media Productions. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us for other great content.
And please, please, please hit that little bell icon down there, because you're going to get more of this content.
I want to listen to what you have to say. Comment below.
But as always, thanks. Bye.